Hello, hello, hello! Kumusta po mga kaguro, mga magulang at mga mag-aaral sa ikalimang baitang? Nandiyan na ba sa tabi niyo si Bunso, si Ate, si Kuya, o kaya ang buong pamilya? Kung wala pa, tawagin na sila dahil tayo'y magsisimula na. Sabay-sabay nating isigaw. Tara na't matuto! All right, welcome to week number 8 of the second quarter. And I'll be discussing with you identifying and writing equivalent ratios and how to express ratios in their simplest form. And for our first topic, we have identifying and writing equivalent ratios. But before that, of course, let's have a review. Now, did you still remember? Ano nga bang ibig sabihin ng ratio? Yes. When we say ratio, it is a comparison of two quantities with the same units or classifications. Now, if you can still remember that ratio can be written in three different forms. We have, una, we can write it in word form. Second, we can also write it in column form. And the third one, we can write it in fraction form. So let's try using the illustration. Now, let us find the ratio of the following. First, what is the ratio of butterflies to the bees? Second, what about the ratio of bees to the dragonflies? Third, what is the ratio of the dragonflies to all the insects? Now, if you want to answer, I will give you time. If you are ready, pause it now. Alright, now kapag pinilay mo na ito, ibig sabihin tapos ka na at may sagot ka na and you are ready to compare your answer to my answer. Are you ready? Now, let's start. First one, the ratio of butterflies to bees is 9 is to 6 because there are 9 butterflies and 6 bees. And the column form is that 9 is to 6. And the fraction form, 9 over 6 or 9/6. Number 2, what about the ratio of bees to the dragonflies? The answer, we have 6 is to 3. The column form, 6 is to 3. And the fraction form, 6 over 3 or 6 thirds. Why? Because there are 6 bees and 3 dragonflies. Now, what about the third one? What is the ratio of dragonflies to all the insects? Do you have the answer? Yes, we have 3 is to 18. The column form, 3 is to 18, and the fraction form, 3 over 18 or 3/18. Yan. Why? Because there are 3 dragonflies and a total of 18 insects. Okay, my question is, did you get the perfect score? Well, congratulations. Let's proceed now to our first topic. First one is, how do we write equivalent ratios? By the way, naintindihan mo ba or did you still remember the meaning of equivalent ratios? Or did you already discuss this in the previous grade? Well, we will go back the meaning of equivalent ratios. Ano nga ba ito? The first one, when we say equivalent ratios, these are ratios that have the same value when simplified. Sa madaling salita, kapag ni-lowest term natin or sinimplify natin yung isang ratio and we get the same equivalent, and that means those ratios are equal or equivalent ratios. The second meaning is that equivalent ratios can be obtained by multiplying or dividing both sides by the same non-zero number. Okay, para daw makuha mo ang equivalent ratios, you need to multiply or divide depends on the given ratio. So let's have an example. So, let's have ratio of boys to girls. Tingnan natin. So these are the example of equivalent ratios. So we have 2 is to 3 is equal to 4 is to 6 and also 6 is to 9. And these are what you call the equivalent ratios. Ang tanong, paano nga ba makukuha, sir, ang equivalent ratio? So let's start. But among the ratios, the simplest form or the simplified form of ratio is that 2/3 or 2 is to 3. Then how did we get 4 is to 6? 6 is to 9. We will use multiplication. The first one, 2 is to 3 or 2/3 is the simplest form. Now, to get 4, 6, we need to multiply it first by 2, both the numerator and the denominator. So multiply natin by 2, we will get now 2 times 2, we have 4. 3 times 2 is 6. So we have 4, 6 or 4 is to 6. 2/3 is equal to 4 is to 6. Now, we will multiply it by 3. 2/3 multiplied by 3. We have 6 nines. 2 times 3 equals 6. 3 times 3 equals 9. So, 2/3 is also equal to 6 ninths. So now, we can say that 2/3 is equal to 4 6 and also equal to 6 ninths. Okay. And we can also get the other equivalent ratios by multiplying by 4, by 5, by 6, and so on. So, continuous yan, no? Walang katapusan. Now, what if the given is in the higher term and you need to find the simplified form to get the equivalent ratios? Now, we will use division. For example, 4, 6. How do we get the equivalent ratio of 4, 6? So, look at the two numbers, 4 and 6. What do you think is the number that can be divided by 4 and 6? Yes, we can divide it by 2. Now, 4 divided by 2 equals 2. 6 divided by 2 equals 3. So, we have 2/3 as part of an equivalent ratio of 4, 6. And what about 6, 9? Now, if we want to get the simplified ratio of 6, 9, still we need to find or use the division. Now, divide both by 3. We have 6 divided by 3, 2. 9 divided by 3 equals 3. So we have also 2/3. So we can say that 2/3 is equal to 4, 6 and also equal to 6, 9. These are all equivalent ratios. Did you understand? So let's try another example. Now, let us write the equivalent ratios of the following. Let us try the first one, 3/5. Now, let us write the first 4 equivalent ratios kasi nga pwedeng marami. Pwede tayong makagawa ng maraming equivalent ratios. But this time, let us just get the first 4, the first consecutive 4 equivalent ratios of 3/5. Let's try by multiplying. We will use multiplication. So, let's multiply first by 2. Doon magsisimula. If we are going to multiply it by 2, 3, and 5 multiplied by 2, we have 6 tenths. The first one. 3 times 2 equals 6. 5 times 2 equals 10. And so we have now 6 tenths. Now, multiply it by 3. 3 and 5 multiplied by 3, we have, yes, 9/15 or 9 over 15. Then, multiply 3/5 by both. Then, multiply 3 and 5 by 4. So, 3 times 4, 5 times 4, we have 12 over 20 or 12 is to 20. Then 3 and 5 multiplied by 5, we have 15 is to 25 or 15 over 25. So these are the first four equivalent ratios of 3/5 and they are called equivalent ratios. This time, let us find the equivalent ratios of 1/8. Again, we will get only the first four equivalent ratios. So let's try. Let's multiply 1 and 8 by 2 first. 1 times 2, 8 times 2, we have now 2 over 16. Then again, multiply 1 and 8 by 3, we have now 3 over 24 or 3 is to 24. What about by 4? 1 times 4, 8 times 4, we have 4 over 32 or 4 is to 32. And let's have multiplied by 5. 1 times 5, 8 times 5 equals 5 over 40 or 5 is to 40. So these are now the equivalent ratios of 1/8. The first four. And the last one. What about 2/7? Can you give me the first four equivalent ratios of 2/7? Again, can you try it? Then, pause it now. Okay, so let's check. If you are done, let's compare your answer. Again, we can get the first four by multiplying by 2, by 3, by 4, and by 5. Let's start. 2 and 7 multiplied by 2. We have now 2 times 2, 4. 7 times 2, 14. 4 over 14. By 3, we have, yes, 6 over 21. By 4, 2 times 4, 7 times 4, we have 8 over 28. By 5, 2 times 5, 7 times 5, we have 10 over 35. So we have now the equivalent ratios of 2 over 7. Did you get the correct answer? Well, you are great. Okay, so you are familiar now on how to write the equivalent ratios. Now, let's proceed. How do we identify now equivalent ratios? Paano natin malalaman given ang mga ratios? For example, we have two given pair of ratios. Then, how do we identify if they are equivalent or equal? Let's have the first method. Cross product method or the cross multiplication method. For example, we have 3/5 and we have 6/10. And paano natin malalaman kung si 3/5 ay equal nga ba kay 6/10? Or how can we check if these two are equivalent ratios? Eto na nga, gagamitan natin yan ng cross product method. By multiplying 3 and 10, 3 times 10 equals, yes, 30. Then, let's cross multiply also 5 times 6, which is also equal to 30. Then, we can say that 3/5 is equal to 6/10, or these two ratios are equivalent. Okay. Now, another method. By using the means and the extremes. By the way, alam nyo ba ang ibig sabihin ng means and extremes? Well, let's have example. 5 is to 6 is equal to 15 is to 18. So how can we check if they are really equivalent? Okay, we will multiply now the means and the extremes first. When we say means, these are the two inner numbers. Yung dalawang number na nasa loob, ang tawag doon ay means. So, let's multiply. 6 times 15 or 15 times 6. What's the product? Yes, it's 90. Then, let us also multiply the extreme. So, we have 5 and 18 are the extremes. So, paano nalalaman na they are extremes? Extremes are the two outer numbers, yung nasa labas, 5 and 18. Let's multiply. 5 times 18 or 18 times 5 is also 90. Therefore, 5 is to 6 is equal to 15 is to 18, or they are equivalent ratios. Okay, let's try some more. What if we have two sevens and 1242? Is it really equal? Let's check using the cross product method. Let's multiply 2 times 42. We have 84. And also multiply 7 times 12, which is also equal to 84. Therefore, they are equal or equivalent ratios. Now, what about the next one? 12 is to 14. Is it also equal to 6 is to 7? Let's check using the means and extremes. Multiply the means 14 times 6. What's the answer? Yes, it's 84. And also multiply the extremes. 12 times 7 or 7 times 12 is also equal to 84. Therefore, 12 is to 14 is equal to 6 is to 7, or they are really equivalent ratios. All right. Naintindihan? Yes, yes, so. And let's proceed to our second topic, all about expressing ratios in their simplest forms. So, paano ba natin gagawin ang isang ratio into a simplest form? Let's have first a review. Again, express or reduce the following fraction to lowest term or simplest form. Again, we already discussed this in our topic about fractions. Okay, so we have three given fractions: 4 eighths, 12 over 14 or 12 fourteenths, and we have 9 over 12 or 9 twelfths. Now, what is the lowest term or the simplest form of this fraction? If you want to answer, pause it now. Okay, if you are done, so let's continue and compare your answer to my answer. So how do we get the lowest term of 4 eighths? By simply dividing it by the greatest common factor. So the greatest common factor or the GCF of 4 and 8 is 4. So we divide it. 4 divided by 4, 8 divided by 4. So we have the lowest term, 1 half. Naalala pa ba? Okay, now, number 2, again, you have to think the GCF of 12 and 14. Pinakamataas na factor na pwedeng i-divide sa 12 and 14. And what is that? Yes, it's 2. So divided both by 2, so we have the lowest term of 6 sevenths or 6 over 7. Then, let's have number 3. Ano nga ba ang pinakamataas na factor or GCF ng 9 and 12? Yes, tama ka. So the GCF of 9 and 12 is 3. So divide it by 3. So we have now the lowest term of 3/4. All right. Again, how did we get the lowest term or the simplest form of a fraction? Take note of this. The easiest way to reduce fraction to lowest term is to divide both the numerator and the denominator by their greatest common factor or GCF. Tandaan yan ha, because in expressing ratios in their simplest form ay para lang tayong nagre-reduce ng fraction into lowest term. So gagamitin natin yung ginawa natin kanina. For example, there are 9 butterflies, 6 bees, and 3 dragonflies. What is the ratio of butterflies to the bees? Ayan ang ating tanong. So kanina, sinagot na natin to, no? Using the illustration. This time, if the question is about ratio, we need to find or give the answer into simplest form or simplified form. Okay? So since we all know that there are 9 butterflies and 6 bees, so the first initial ratio is that 9:6. So, yan yung sagot natin kanina. Now, we need to find if this is in simplest form or simplified form. So, how are we going to do this? Yes. First one, change or rename it into fraction. 9:6 is also equal to 9/6 or 9/6. Now, what did we do in finding the lowest term or simplest form? We get the greatest common factor. Ano kaya ang factor or the GCF na mayroon sa 9 and 6? And that is 3. By dividing both by 3, we will get now 3/2 or 3 halves. Therefore, 3 halves is now the simplest form or the lowest term. So, the correct answer or the best answer in the question is 3:2. Do you understand? What about the question is, what is the ratio of bees to the dragonflies? We all know that there are how many bees? We have 6 bees and we have 3 dragonflies. So the initial answer is 6:3. Tama. But please check. Is it already in simplest form? Hmm. Let's try. Let us rename it into 6/3. Now, is there any greatest common factor? Is there? What is the GCF of 6 and 3? We have 3. By dividing both by 3, we will get now 2/1. Therefore, the final answer or the ratio of bees to the dragonflies is 2:1. That is. Now, let's have the last one. What if the question is, what is the ratio of dragonflies to all the insects? The initial answer na sagot natin kanina is 3:18 because there are 3 dragonflies, then a total of 18 insects. Okay, now, let us find, is it already in simplest form? Let's try. Rename it to fraction 3/18 or 3/18. Now, is there any GCF of 3 and 18? Yes, the GCF is 3. By dividing both by 3, we will get now 1/6. Therefore, the answer to the question is 1:6. So, again, in expressing ratios in their simplest form, we are just like reducing fraction to lowest term by getting the GCF of the numbers and divide it so that you will get the lowest term or the simplest form of their ratios. And that's it. We are done with our topic in week number 8. And before I end, syempre, we will proceed now to shout out. So nagpapasalamat ako sa mga sumusunod. Let's have Zarina May Albanyo, Anika Faith Siriegan, Miriam De La Cruz, Mylene Sapigaw of Bitogo Elementary School at isang tolongsis, Risa Baldulia, Yoon Jin Min, Marlene Dorado Deliosa, maraming salamat po sa inyo. And also, shout out to Leonilo Vino, 30 Ways to Mawang, Best Di Guzman, Stephanie Ancheta, Elrich Jane, Kajuban Tampoy, Prince Destin Bagot. Ayan, thank you very much. Also, shout out to Mary Lane Calayo, Victor Arcega, Clementine Sahor, Prince Edward Canuza, Mel Algoriza, Celia Cazandra Tagatay, Jen Didalpin. Thank you so much po. And also shout out to Princess Angel Larum, Jonathan S&B, James Bryan, Michelle Braga, Unknown Stranger, Andrew Emmanuel Vego, Daniela Benning. Thank you very much po. And also shout out to Bezeliza Desilio, Zymor Miras, and Ronella Magdaon. Maraming salamat po sa inyo. And that concludes our week number 8. See you in the next episode. Maraming salamat and happy learning!
Sorry, it's DJ.